BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Drum and bass is everywhere. The fast-beating heart of your workouts, the pure release of your nights out. And it's still breaking new ground. This is the story of how it rose and rose. I'm DJ Flight, and you're listening to Turn It Up, a short history of drum and bass. Episode 2, Metal Heads.
Things definitely come in cycles, and it does feel like people are now looking back at what was done in the 90s. It was so ahead of its time, it was so like futuristic sounding.
You just heard Nia Archives, a producer, singer-songwriter leading the charge of the current jungle revolution. She's part of a new wave of talent not afraid to delve into our music's magnificent history for inspiration. The 90s were glorious, I remember them well, as does OG-MC Navigator.
1993, jungle was the hottest music in this whole country. Jungle was coming out of your cars, it was coming out of your neighbor's window, it was on the radio, it was in the shops, it was on the buses, it was everywhere.
Just close your eyes and dream with me. You'll hear the sound of music.
Midlands hero, DJ and label runner Doc Scott.
There were things being done in the 90s for the first time because technology allowed it. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime period, and then you had all these guys coming up that were hungry.
By 1993, the music was restless, evolving at lightning speed. The tempo was increasing, the sound getting deeper and darker. Nights like Rage and Roast in London were right at the vanguard as new styles emerged. Navigator, an artist with deep roots in UK reggae, loved the mixture.
Sound system, hip-hop, rare groove, soul, all mixed together with breakbeat and techno, and reshaped, repackaged, and pushed out as a London sound.
A huge name in D&B from 99 onwards and still hot right now, a young DJ Fresh was also around in the mid-90s, listening and learning.
I was a kid of the motorway rave era, but like my older friends were going to those raves and they would bring back tapes. I was just like, what is this alien world that I can hear through my headphones?
31 seconds. 31 seconds.
Cassettes and tape packs were vital in helping the music spread far and wide. Somewhat cheaper than buying loads of individual 12-inches, they were also a great promotion tool for DJs and MCs trying to make a name for themselves. MC Chickaboo cemented her rep after linking with fellow Brummie, DJ G.E. Real, playing a slew of the biggest raves of the time and gracing many a tape pack.
We used to sell tape packs basically outside the parties and stuff. That's what people put on when they were driving home. So it's really nice to be remembered by that generation of ravers. And of course, at the time, had no clue or any idea or any intention of what we were doing. It was just a project of love. We all sort of fell in love with the culture.
Local scenes flourished, adding their own flavour to the melting pot of influences. Few could claim to be quite as influential as Bristol. A rich cultural and musical heritage spawned numerous crews, nights and labels, including the respected Roughneck Ting and Full Cycle. Onali, singer-songwriter and frontwoman of Represent.
We always had this tradition in Bristol of raving in fields. The music was dance, techno. There was a lot of reggae influence, and the combination of those two cultures was what really progressed the music of that day, and drum and bass came out of that.
Originally from the nearby city of Gloucester, Brian G became taken with the Bristol scene after getting his hands on a demo featuring some of its most promising talents: Ronnie Size, Crust, Suv and DJ Die. They ended up becoming the basis of his and Jumping Jack Frost's brand new label, the esteemed V Recordings.
Me and Frost went and met Ronnie and Cross, and they were just cool, you know, two rastas, crazy, wild dreadlocks and stuff, you know, young, rebel kind of like vibes and hungry and all that, you get what I'm saying? And like, their jungle was different, a bit more soulful, like more groovy. Di was just like the coolest white dude that you could ever meet, you get what I'm saying, you know? So brought that quirkiness to it. So you had these four guys making some of the greatest music at that time in the UK. It was just blowing my mind. It was just the best times ever for me, for the label V. We thought we were the hottest boys in town.
An illustration of the ever-evolving nature of the music, the dancehall influence began to take centre stage. Ragga Jungle grew so popular that record distribution companies released numerous compilations, and artists broke through to the mainstream, essentially converting another set of young music fans.
Top of the Pops 2, BBC 2, Saturday at 5:15. Now we've got M-Beat and General Levy. First jungle on Top of the Pops ever. This is incredible.
One of the leading lights in the big room stadium sound, producer DJ Subfocus cites his earliest jungle memory as being when he first heard the incredible sounds of M-Beat.
When I was at school, a friend of mine put on a cassette tape of the Jungle compilation. The first track was Incredible by M-Beat and General Levy. And it just sounded so mental compared to anything else I'd heard before, and it instantly really excited me.
DJ Fresh.
I feel like there was a social change going on in the UK at that point, and people from different backgrounds and jobs were meeting up and realising that we all had so much in common through the music, where previously there were so many social barriers, I think, in the UK.
Despite the successes and the overall vibe of peace, love, unity and respect, you could feel a backlash. Some media outlets stopped covering the movement. Others went as far as running stories about apparent widespread violence. It became impossible to ignore the racial bias behind some of these stories. Storm.
The press was starting to use this term, jungle bunnies, which was really disgusting to us. You know, and then somebody got stabbed at Laserdrome. All of a sudden there seemed to be this bad element to what was going on because drum and bass people were really there for the music.
When negative stories started popping up in the press, it was as if jungle suddenly had a PR problem. Despite the fact the vibes had always been proudly inclusive, vibrant, diverse. Or for the most part, anyway. MC Navigator.
But there was also a big contingency in our scene that were very racist. There was a meeting where heads sat down, tried to thrash it all out, and there was a big split. They couldn't see eye to eye. And there were certain promoters that were saying, if you play Ragga Jungle in my dance, I'm not going to book you anymore.
I think the press really kind of stopped us from using the word jungle, the government. I don't think they could get a handle on it. I mean, even when you'd see like illegal raves, you know, the police would be there telling you not to go in. But what could they do with these thousands of people all having a nice time and really enjoying themselves and coming out and going, all right, mate, you're all right, yeah.
For me, it was a bit strange, but it was necessary for the music to move forward. The ragamuffin side of jungle got tarnished and painted with a brush that wasn't necessarily fair. That's when drum and bass took over. All of you shall weakness the as bad man shall fall.
Aged 17, being told the music I loved, jungle, was over and it's all about drum and bass now, really hurt. The media backlash succeeded in swaying opinions. But from opposition and negativity, something amazing can grow. It was at this time that one of the most cutting-edge platforms was founded. Following a profound experience seeing icons Fabio and Groove Rider in '91, Goldie envisioned a family-like record label, club night and merchandise range for himself, Chemistry and Storm to run.
Come to me, in those open arms is where I wanna be.
So we came back from Rage. He was going, oh, I want to make this music. You two are going to DJ it. We're going to have a club. We're going to have a label. He just went on that mission. I mean, when we first heard Tear Off Your Chest by Dillinger, he was like, right, I've got to find this guy. I've got to hunt him down. Tear off your chest.
Every day of my life.
Metalheadz was born in August 1994, named by Grooverider after the metal dubplates which DJs used to test exclusive tunes before release. Goldie wanted his label to be a home for explorative and imaginative beats, which is what it was, beginning with the very first release, a split 12-inch single from Goldie and Doc Scott.
Goldie had always spoke about starting a label, said it'd be cool, you know, if we were to come together on the first release, and they were very much sought after. To be on one side of 001 of Metalheadz, arguably one of the most important drum and bass labels of all time, is still mind-blowing, beyond humbling.
A number of groundbreaking releases followed in quick succession.
Goldie put the first few releases out, Pesce, Wax Doctor, Alex Reese.
But before long, bigger record labels came knocking, wanting to sign Goldie for a proper debut album release.
Then he got signed by London Record for Timeless and realised he couldn't have the time to concentrate on the label, so he handed it over to us. For us, it was a very exciting start because our first release was J Magic Your Sound, and obviously Angels Fell from Dillinger, so we had a double header release. What those two releases did was made everybody look at Metalheadz, and not long after that, we were offered 5 weeks at Blue Note, this underground club where you were invited to play.
Metalheadz at Blue Note quickly became a hotbed of innovation. Doc Scott.
Blue Note was just kind of a sanctuary to experiment. That's how I remember it. Stuff that sometimes I just didn't feel confident enough to play on a Friday or a Saturday night out. But on a Sunday, I was like, okay, I can play this thing that was like, sounded weird. And then lo and behold, 6 months later, people are queuing around the corner, one in, one out, queuing to get in just for half an hour at the end. It was bonkers.
The capacity was so small because it was a restaurant upstairs, so I think it was 260, 270. And, you know, at nights we'd get 1,000 people downstairs. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. All those things we wanted to do, we've got the label, we've got the club. We are the DJs playing what Goldie is making. Yeah, we lived that dream for years, right? And it was fantastic.
Metalheadz at Blue Note was everything to me. It's hard to explain just how exciting, educational and enriching those nights were. They were truly incredible. I still carry its DNA in my DJ sets today. Another enormously significant club night during this period was Speed at the Mars Bar in London's West End. Run by proper heavyweights of the scene, LTJ Bookham, Fabio and Sarah Sandy of Groove Connection DJ Agency, the night was key to the burgeoning deep, atmospheric jazz-funk sounds. Fabio remembers the disillusionment that motivated him and Bookham to launch Speed.
Tick, 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 tick.
I found myself in the mid-90s really navigating towards that cosmic style where they were sampling Lonnie Liston and Jeff Lorber and stuff like that. I'd never forget a real turning point was when me and Bookham played at Paradise Club. And when I say we cleared this dance, mate, it was like someone had come in there and gone, fire! And everyone ran out. And I remember Danny saying to me, we need to do our own night. We just need to do something small where we can play our music because there's some amazing tunes being made and just no one's getting it. And so we started up Speed. I felt so privileged after Rage to find something. We had all this amazing music, man, and in this tiny little club, and everyone was telling us it weren't going to work, and you pull it off. And that feeling is so satisfying.
Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings.
In the next episode, D&B truly pops. Major label signings, momentous industry awards, and the music media comes sniffing again. I'm DJ Flight, and you've been listening to Turn It Up, a short history of drum and bass. Hit subscribe now to get the latest episodes as soon as they drop.
Whatever you're up to, take a Radio 1 podcast with you.
Like mine, the snappily titled Radio 1 Breakfast Best Bits with Greg James.
Listen to Scarlett Moffat Wants to Believe. My assignment is to explore the bizarre and unexplained.
And Pop 101 with Scott Mills is where we take a deep dive into the true stories behind the objects which changed the lives of your favourite music icons.
Radio 1 podcasts.
Go on, get listening on BBC Sounds.